We identified one singular matrix of the nature of science for each phase. However, through all phases, we are encouraging students to communicate their knowledge through written and/or drawing perspectives and a few others. In Engage, we begin with asking a question about trains and lead into biomimicry. And in Explore, we begin making observations about different inventions inspired by organisms. In Explain, we go in detail about how structure and function go hand in hand. However, we'd also like to add a conversation about organism growth and development because we believe that it is an important aspect of biomimicry. In Elaborate, we make sure to understand that changes can indeed occur given new and insightful information. And lastly, in Evaluate, the students are given a problem and asked to create a modified version of an invention on their own through written and drawn communication with their table group, therefore encouraging collaboration and being open-minded to different ideas and viewpoints. In the first grade, we believe that students can be anywhere between the pre-operational and concrete operational phases of PSA's developmental levels, and at this age, they are beginning to think more logically and less egocentrically. Through the Engage and Explore phases of instruction, we are activating prior knowledge while adding new information in bits and pieces. In the Explain phase, we thoroughly discuss how this is and why it works best in this way, which is because the environment and organisms have been living and adapting to the world around us for centuries. In the Elaborate phase, we use egocentrism to our advantage by having the students solve a problem from their own point of view, even though egocentrism significantly decreases as they reach the concrete operational phase. While we encourage the students to begin seeing things from another perspective throughout the unit, in the Evaluate phase we took a route that allows them to do just that when creating a modified model with their table group. Our students begin this 7 to 8 day biomimicry unit in the assimilation phase where they begin relating familiar material with new. During the Explore phase, students reach disequilibrium when realizing that many things in their world were actually designed and created through biomimicry, and the questions they begin to ask are how and why. The students then begin to readjust their mental structures by reaching equilibrium and making accommodations in the Explain phase when everything is essentially worded in a way of understanding. From there, in the Elaborate and Evaluate phases, the students begin organizing the new and old information they have retained and put it into use. It was fun coming up with ways for students to be creative, yet it was difficult figuring out how students would remember all of the terms and definitions, so we are currently working on another way of introducing them. All of the activities conducted in this 7 to 8 day lesson plan revolve around the idea of biomimicry. However, they all do so in a different manner. For instance, we have students viewing ways in which scientists have created inventions using inspiration from animals and/or plants. Students have demonstrated their understanding by finding patterns in different inventions, demonstrated their competency through solving a human problem, and working with others to create a modified model just as a scientist would. Through this unit, we were able to incorporate multiple cross-cutting concepts, science and engineering practices, and disciplinary core ideas because we believe that every unit has more than one lesson that can be taught. For Engage, it was easy to find a connection between the students and the video through Thomas the Train, difficult to come up with questions to ask due to their age, ability to read and understand, and how much they could remember from a 7-minute video, but we have now considered showing short clips from the video instead of the entire thing. For Explore, it was easy to decide what inventions they would be looking at and exploring because we wanted them to be exploring things that they may use or see on a daily basis. However, we struggled with how long or short we wanted them to look at each invention. We then considered to have the students think, pair, share before having the students share out loud to the class so that way everyone would have a chance to share. For Explain, it was easy to decide to use the home reflection piece from the Explore section as an opener for day 3 because it led right into the definitions of what biomimicry is and how structure and function work together. It was difficult to choose the right definitions for structure and function along with how to word it in a way that they would understand, but we also considered adding a gross motor activity since it would be primarily a day of lecture. For Elaborate, it was easy to decide that the students would solve a human problem on their own using the idea of biomimicry, but it was hard to decide what prompt they would be given because there are so many different kinds of inspiration a student can use, and next time we may add art materials for this day for arts integration and expression. And lastly, for Evaluate, it was easy to determine that our culminating project would be, but it was hard to decide how much time they would need to get it all done, and next time we may consider allowing the groups to have choices in the apps they use to create the video presentation. Thank you for watching our 5E Learning Cycle presentation.